And really, that comes from a place of conviction, Yaqeen. And when you know something for a fact, then nobody else's negative energy is strong enough to change your mind. In fact, if you were to listen to them at that point, you would end up being more upset with yourself for being deceived. Like, I would feel bad for falling into a trap when I know that it's not true. So, Yaqeen, conviction, that comes from personal experience. There's a hadith that says the greatest thing you could have after Yaqeen is afiyat, which is well-being. I really do like the dua for well-being as well. It's nice. Allah is the healer, and He can use whatever means He chooses for healing to occur. And I was thinking about something recently. It's that these alternative medicines that are claiming to be holistic, for example, like physical therapies like physio, osteo, acupuncture, massage, they claim to be more holistic than traditional mechanistic medicine, which is true. And yet simultaneously, it still does not, to me, seem to be holistic enough. For example, I would have like a 20-minute acupuncture session or osteo session. And it's like, okay, come here, do this, do that. Okay, bye, done. That's it. That was a session. It was very physical, which is fine. But the physical is not all of it. There's emotional healing, mental, spiritual, like all these levels are intertwined and integrated. Yeah, baby. And to only focus on one, to me, does not seem holistic. Yes, you could do the whole body, but ultimately, that's not going to give you lasting healing. That's only going to perhaps enable you to carry on with your destructive emotional patterns, which would land you right back in the doctor's office. So why would the holistic practitioner care about your emotional life if it only gets you back into their office, right? That's more money for them. And that brings me to the next subject, which is keeping the intentions pure. And unfortunately, it's very easy to let money muddle our intentions, and doing something for the sake of Allah, like that will open doors for you. That will open opportunities from places you never even imagined. And yet, don't let that intention become impure. Don't let like these new blessings that you have received make you forget your intention and your initial goal, and make you want to chase the worldly gains and wealth. And that's really what it becomes. Like, what do you worship? Do you worship your creator, or do you worship money? Even these supposed idol worshippers, it's not that they're stupid enough to think these little stones are going to give them power. They worship money, and those little statues were making them money. It was a sale, it was business, it was profit. And yet, you must follow the prophet over profit. So, yeah. I've been thinking about intentions a lot lately, and keeping my intentions pure. And I've been wanting to do this thing, which is sound healing. Really, medicine. I like medicine, whether that's Islamic medicine, energy medicine. I like the health industry, and I like to be practicing medicine. So my intention is to help people feel better for the sake of Allah and bring them closer to Allah. And yet my mind and my ego is like, okay, so how do we do that? And my mind starts to propose this plan of action. However, the plan of action ultimately becomes a business venture for the sake of profit. And I'm like, once again, I'm like, okay, well, it's not a haram to make money from this. The only issue is that I feel, or I'm nervous, that perhaps this ends up messing with my intention. Perhaps my intention is not strong enough, and I would end up becoming corrupt by worldly gain and chasing money. And ultimately, I don't want to do it for the sake of the money. I want to do it for the sake of Allah. But the money is very attractive. It's luring, it's tempting, it's whispering, it's like, come, make more. But literally just to prove myself wrong, I would rather do things for free. I'd rather just give it all away and trust that Allah is the one that provides. If I make content, it's for free. Ended up doing a virtual healing session today impromptu, obviously free. Like, it's just like friends hanging out, and that's perfectly fine. Like, I'm glad we both got something out of it, and in a way that actually made it flow better. Like, if there was an expectation of payment, then there would be an expectation of performance, which would automatically take me out of the flow state. And because there was no expectation set, we were not attached to any outcomes, there was really space to relax and let healing occur. So yeah, more about this. It ended up being a mutually beneficial session, and that's how it should be. Like, if you are paying me for a session, then there's this expectation that I am here to help you. You are not here to help me, I'm here to help you. And yet when it's just two people having a conversation, we can both mutually benefit from the exchange. It doesn't have to be one person gets all the benefit. Like, me and my friend both benefited from this call, even though I was giving her a healing session or tuning fork session, which she was also using her voice to tune me. You know what I mean? Like, the tuning goes both ways. And for me, the little aha moment was that like, she was speaking from her experience about taking an unconventional career path, and that is something that I resonated with, because personally I have been doing sound healing for a few years, but it's been very closeted because unfortunately it's heavily associated with the New Age spirituality and woo-woo group, and that's not something that I want to do. I want to put an Islamic lens on it. And honestly, for years I hadn't even been practicing sound healing, because at that point I was like discovering the faith, and I was re-examining everything from the ground up. Like, I had to re-establish all my values from an Islamic lens. So I got rid of everything that I believed and reintroduced things one at a time Islamically to make sure it fit the new paradigm. Sound healing, I struggled to see how it fit, so I didn't really touch it much. And people, of course, were telling me, like, be careful with this. Some people said that. Other people were like, oh yes, this definitely works, like, totally do it. But now that I've come to a place with of greater tawheed, like, I feel that like the oneness of Allah has become much more apparent to me, and the fact that there's only one force, and that force is Allah, and everything else is just a pattern that He plays out. And like, there's no force of gravity, there's no force of nature, it's just Allah, and He keeps these same patterns going. And part of the test is that we recognize that He is the one doing it, and that He could stop doing it whenever He pleases. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to start believing that the sun holds inherent power, or that that gravity is its own independent force. These are all forms of minor shirk. So anyway, coming to a place of tawheed has been very healing for the soul. And from that state, I was able to look at sound healing as a tool, same as any other tool. And it is, again, up to Allah whether healing occurs through this tool or not. And yeah, some medicines are more powerful than others. Ultimately, everything's in Allah's hands. So with that approach, I was more confident to practice sound healing. I want to call it frequency medicine. I don't know, because it's not the sound that's healing. It's Allah that heals. So anyway, frequency medicine. Frequency healing, whatever. So I was like more confident to practice it. Okay. And yet, what I wanted to do was make content online, and I was warned not to marry two things that don't seemingly go together, aka sound healing and Islam. So I was like, all right, fine, I won't do that. I'll just study Islamic medicine instead. We'll just focus on Islamic medicine, and that's still something that I want to do. It's not that I don't want to do that. I do definitely want to learn that. But I was kind of like ditching the idea of sound healing in my head. And yet, during the call today, I felt called to pull out the tuning forks because I really wanted to help her. And words did not seem to be getting through. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's use the forks. And she's like, okay. And we did. And subhanAllah, like, transformation was unfolding before our eyes. Like, we were both like, whoa, something just changed. And she felt the shift in the energy. I felt the shift in the energy. So yeah, I mean, how could I say that these forks are pointless? They're not. There's a benefit to them. And for me to like withhold that is not good, you know? Like, I'd rather use whatever tools we have available to us to fulfill the intention. And what she told me was that, you know, so long as you're doing it for the sake of Allah and the intention is pure, then it's fine. Like, I have no ill intent with these forks, and I'm not doing shirk with them. And of course, if I become public with this, there will be people that are saying, oh, you're whatever, like insert random unintelligible words here. But like, if I'm convinced that I'm trying to help and I'm doing the right thing, then I will continue on that path. It's not a big deal. Again, as I said, like, once you have that conviction, that personal conviction, it's like proof of experience. Once you have proof, experiential proof, then there's no turning back from that. You can't like pretend to not know the truth. You can't pretend to not know that something works. So yeah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not back down when the people told him to stop sharing the message. Even if they offered him money, wealth, fortune, whatever. I feel like I just said the same thing 3 times. But anyways, you don't back down. Even if the money's not there. I'm not doing it for the money. It's not about that. So, alhamdulillah. However it plays out, it's Allah's path. And I don't want to be attached to the outcome. I want to just grasp this most trustworthy handhold and just follow whatever path he has for me. Alhamdulillah.